I actually wrote like a 5-page script so that I would not deviate and I could stay on track, and it would sound really good, but my small teleprompter doesn't fit on this 72mm filter thread lens, and I didn't want to film on my Canon M50, so we're filming in the Blackmagic, but that means no teleprompter, so we'll just see how it goes. I might get off track a little bit. So to get everyone up to speed on what I'm doing, what we're doing here in a school bus, October of 2019, we bought a 36-foot IC CE 200 2004 school bus, and with the intention of renovating it and turning it into a tiny house, a Skoolie. So basically up until now, we have been tearing stuff out. We've been tearing out the floor, the ceiling, the walls, resealing everything, and sort of getting it to a starting point that you can build from. And a lot of people, which is kind of, it's not inspiring, because you'll see people that buy their school bus and they work on it for like 2 or 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, and then they're traveling and they're living in it. And it's like, I wish I had that, but at the same time, like, you see their progress pictures and they really they don't take the proper steps to make sure that what they're doing is gonna last a long time. Like, they'll leave the original floor down, and from tearing up the floor on this school bus, which this school bus was in pretty good shape to begin with, but from tearing up the floor, I know that there's a lot of rust that can be down there, and there's a lot of, can be water damage in the insulation. So if you don't, fucking roosters. So I really wanted to take it down to the bones and the metal and stuff, and then just start from scratch. First, it was ripping up the floor. The floor had to go because I needed to see what was under the floor, and what was under the floor was a lot of rust, nowhere near what I see some people's floors look like when they rip it up, but there was definitely holes from where the seats go through. The seats came first. The bus seats had to come out, and those were bolted through the floor. There was a nut under the bus, and then there was a bolt went through the floor, so I had to be under the bus, and my dad helped me on the inside of the bus, and then we just took each bolt out. There was quite a few seats and quite a few bolts, but after all the seats were out, then the floor can be taken up. The floor was a lot of plywood and then linoleum on top of that. The plywood was screwed to the floor, and the linoleum was glued to the plywood. So once the floor was taken out, then the floor got sealed, rust reformer that was put on. Then I cut some Flex Seal tape into about 1-inch squares, and those went over each of the holes on the floor, and there were a lot of holes. So I have nightmares about cutting the Flex tape and peeling off that little backing and putting it on each one of those screw holes. But now I know that the floor is sealed, framed in, insulated, and then plywood put on top of that. Floor is good. Thankfully, in our ceiling, the ceiling was screwed in instead of riveted in. Some of the buses that I've seen, they actually have rivets, and they're a lot harder to get out because obviously you can't screw them out. So there's just us getting lucky on the ceiling. So then the insulation can come out of the ceiling. The first big project that I did was sealing the windows. And that was where the majority of the water damage, I think, happens in school buses, is the windows are not made very well. So the water just sort of like, it comes in under the windows and it seeps down along the walls into the floor, and it just traps all the water and starts to rust. So getting all of that out was like, it was absolutely essential. And then along with sealing the windows, roof needed sealed too. So the roof is put together in sort of like probably 4x8 sheets of metal, and they come together sort of like a seam, and the seam faces the back of the bus. So each of those seams I had to reseal, as well as I pretty much sanded and repainted the roof white in addition to other parts of the bus. That's sort of going to be the color scheme, and also the white is going to help reflect heat in the summer. I also had to patch the exit hatches because there's going to be walls right here. It was actually an exit hatch that would intersect a wall. So all 3 exit hatches had to be patched and sealed and covered. So there's gonna be 3 holes cut total. There's gonna be a max air fan in the front. This middle one right here is gonna have a boat hatch so we can have access to the roof. And then in the back, there's gonna be another max air fan. So, we can kind of have like a circulating system going. So one's out and then one's in. You can actually change the direction of the fans. So I'm sure the main question that most people have is, why would you want to live in a school bus? Because people don't understand that sometimes living in a small space is like actually fine if you build it properly, if you incorporate storage. And like some of the smaller vans don't have showers, which we're gonna have a full-size shower, we're gonna have a full-size bathroom. So some of the common things you don't get on smaller builds that people are kind of like, why would you want to live like that? We're gonna have in here. It's 250 square feet on the inside. I mean, it's not a lot, but if you compare it to like a studio apartment where sometimes in really big cities you're paying a lot of money, once this is built, it's not gonna cost anything. And I think that this is probably the best way that I could think to incorporate travel and creating content. It's gonna be so easy to just go somewhere, and if I want to do a project in that location, I can stay there indefinitely because the school bus is, everything we need. We live on it. Our work can be fulfilled from this location. So it's like, a project that might take 6 months, we can live there and work on it if it's in a different state. So that's the main draw that I had to a school bus. And Brittany has been interested in tiny houses, and I just don't really like the idea of a giant trailer that you have to pull behind a vehicle. One, you have to have a really good vehicle to pull you have to have a decent vehicle to pull your trailer. And two, it's not as easy to travel with because it's a pretty wide trailer usually. It can be pretty tall, so I would be afraid of going along some tight roads, and it just seems more cumbersome and more of a hassle to travel with than a school bus, than a van. So they're able to go in places that you can't necessarily go with the trailer because it's just too hard to get around. It's self-containing, so you're living in the vehicle that also has the engine. So in our case, we bought a school bus for $1,900, where that wouldn't really buy you a trailer. It wouldn't buy you a truck to pull the trailer. So with $1,900 came a fairly decent vehicle, and then you build on top of that platform. So of course, living in a tiny space comes with having less things, and the minimalism route, it's not practical. You get on a throwaway spree and you just throw all your stuff away or give it away and then end up living with only a couple items. That's cool, but the way that we wanted to go is just to simplify all of the stuff that we had down to, or distill the amount of things that we had into only the things that we really enjoy and use and actually get fulfillment out of. All of the clutter that was just holding us back is going to have to be removed, and we've gone through and gotten rid of more than half of our clothes. We've gotten rid of a lot of electronic stuff and stuff that we've had in boxes that we've moved and just moved it multiple times and never used it. So it's like, we don't need these things, so let's get rid of them. And then what we're left with is the things that we use all the time, the things that we actually enjoy. One of the books that we read was Marie Kondo's Tidying Up book. And so that is kind of like the process that we went through, looking at an item and asking, does this item bring you joy? Is it something that you use? And if not, then you let it go. And then what you're left with after you complete this process is essentially the things that just simply bring you joy or you use all the time, and you're not left with anything else that's unnecessary. And now, after close, it's time to go through our books. There's a bookshelf there, there's a bookshelf there. Let's look through the books. So if we're gonna live in a school bus, there's gonna have to be something that happens to our items that are unnecessary. For someone to think, well, how can you live in a school bus? It's very possible, and we're going to do it, and it's definitely not gonna be as hard as some people might think. All right, so we're gonna start from the front of the bus and work our way back on the things that we've worked on so far. I would say we are going to be able to get a door for this, and the doors that are best for Skoolies are gonna be metal doors or fiberglass, because they're just completely exposed to the elements and they don't last very long being wood doors. You can see here all the places that I've put in the insulation on the ceiling, and then there were some cracks that I filled in with some expanding foam. We're going to have a box that's probably going to be for books. We're going to have some storage space up there. I can't decide if I want to put doors on that yet, so that's pretty much done. And then this is the driver's seat mess. All of those wires have been labeled and pulled out. This dash is going to be replaced. It just mainly was full of buttons and switches that I'm not going to end up using. The majority of this is going to be a wood like a wood look, either painted or not, because I think what I'm gonna do is leave all of the wood raw until we figure out exactly the color scheme that we wanna go with. So once we know the color scheme, then we can either paint it, whitewash it, stain it, whatever we wanna do with the wood. The original seat was not the best, and I really didn't wanna do all this work, make a nice bus, and then have the driver's seat be just kind of trashy. So I have to find a good one of those. Used or new, I don't really care. I just kind of want it to be nice. And so back behind the driver's seat, there is going to be a wall, and there's going to be a coat rack here, maybe something else behind the driver's seat, but mainly wall, shiplap on this wall. So this is the wall that's going to be my computer desk. The countertop for the kitchen is going to run from this wall all the way down to this right here. This is going to be the other end of the kitchen. Pretty much in front of this window is going to be the kitchen sink. And then to the right, we're gonna have counter space, more counter space, more counter space, and then my desk starts. That's where the cabinets will stop. Under this side, we're gonna have cabinets, and then under this side is gonna be a computer chair. This wall will pretty much be covered in shiplap, and then wrap around to cover this wall as well. And then if we move over to this side, this is where the couch is. And I've just started working on this wall back here in the last couple weeks. The couch itself, we're gonna have some storage under this little compartment right here. This is where someone can sit when we're driving around. As you can see, there's an electrical box right there. That is where the switches will go for the main entrance lights. We're gonna have a light outside. And then that is actually going to be wired on a 3-way switch, which the other switch will be probably right here by the sink. In the couch, we have 3 sections of storage. And so each of these are on a hinge. And this can be accessed just by taking the cushions off that we'll have on here. And then you can put a lot of stuff in there. And then to the right of the couch, we are planning to have a wood-burning stove pretty much directly here. And that will be to the left of more counter space. There'll be a countertop here. To the right of that is a wall that's also gonna have shiplap on it. And then in between this wall and this wall is where the fridge is gonna go. On the opposite side of the fridge, we have the bathroom. So there will be a wall here, shiplap in the front. And then as you enter the bathroom, you see the vanity. So there'll be doors in the front. And we got the coolest piece of sycamore from someone on Facebook. We got this for $80. They were selling all different sizes of wood. And we actually found, I believe, the wood that we're going to use in the kitchen too. It's red oak, and they have a long, I think it's a 10 or 11 foot piece, 2 inches thick, same as this piece of sycamore. So it's going to be a live edge, both of these for the kitchen and for the bathroom. So that's going to be really cool. Walls are going to have shiplap. There'll be switches here. We're going to have a dimmer switch for the bathroom, and then 2 electrical outlets. And on this wall, there's going to be a switch for the fan, which will be directly above the toilet. And the toilet is going to be somewhere in this area. This is going to be a composting toilet. So that is another question that most people ask. Where are you going to go to the bathroom? And there are pretty much 2 options when you have a camper or a Skoolie or whatever you have. You have black water or you have a composting toilet. And so with black water, basically in your house, everything that goes down the drain would go to a septic system or go to the city, waste management plant. So you don't have to dispose of it. But in a school bus or in an RV, everything is pretty much self-contained. So the black water tank holds everything you put down the toilet, and then you have to dump that. So you can either dump that at a rest stop, you can dump it at a place that's certified to take it, you can dump it sometimes at campgrounds. They have hookups where you can empty your RVs. And to me, that just sounds like a lot more hassle than a composting toilet. You put peat moss in the composting toilet. There's a fan in the toilet area compartment all the time, pulls the air from the entire compartment out. You have an exhaust vent on the underside of the bus or the outside of the bus that's always circulating the air that's in and around the toilet area out. So there's no smell. And on top of that, the smell is mitigated by the fact that there's a biological process happening where the material in there is holding on to the moisture, and it's not like a porta potty where there's 50 people's craps in there. To add on to the fact that it's not going to be gross, I'm going to put a bidet in there. So that's going to be cool, but I have to kind of figure out how that's going to work because Most of the composting toilets just have a separator, so one goes here and one goes here. A separate water hookup that can just have like a movable nozzle that's somewhere to the right or the left or whatever, and you just use that when you need to. So that'd be really cool. So definitely stay tuned for that. So yeah, let's go find some more stuff. To the right of the fridge and freezer is the area where our washer dryer is going to go. It's actually a washer dryer combo. It does both. One unit, so that's going to go below, and then we're going to have a shelf right here for some linen storage, probably some shelves on that. To the right of the washer dryer, I've started the closet, and then this is cedar, so this is going to smell really good once this is all sanded a final time and some oil put on that. That'll smell really good. So that's going to start down there at the bottom of the closet and go all the way up to the top. And so we're going to have 2 rows of hanging storage. There's going to be 1 row at the top for me, and then 1 row at the bottom for Brittany. And so that's going to fit all of our hanging stuff. Probably some storage in the bottom for maybe a couple small things. Have some doors on that. There's going to be more drawer storage here in the middle, probably 3 or so drawers. And then on the opposite side of the closet, this wall will pretty much be covered. We'll separate the toilet room from the shower room wall, and this is going to be the shower room. And excuse all the insulation on the floor, but this is the area where the shower pan will sit. We're going to have a sliding door that comes across. We're probably going to go with some vertical planks of cedar as well, and I think that will work a lot better than our plan for tiling. We were going to initially tile it, and I'm still not quite sure if that would have been a better option, but it's hard for me to imagine putting tile in here in the shower and having it last a long time. Like, we're going to drive on roads, and I know there's plenty of really good pictures of other people who've made Skoolies and they put tile in the bathroom, and you know, a couple months later, you know, it still looks good, but like, how long is that actually going to last? I feel like the tile and the grout and the mortar is just, I feel like there's a chance that it's just not going to last, and I don't want to put something in here that I'm going to have to replace every 6 months, and especially tile. That just sounds absolutely terrible to come back and find out after a drive that you just lost your entire shower wall and you can't take a shower now. So I think a waterproof wood shower is going to look good, and it's also going to be functional, and it's not going to break down easily, potentially like tile could. So I think we're going to go with that. And then on the right side of the shower, we're going to have a little bench. The bench is going to be sort of right there where that wheel well is covered, and then on the wall, we're probably going to have some more storage, probably a vent up top as well. And so as you're walking down the hallway, the shower's on the right, the hallway sort of curves around here, and then we've got the bed area. Now this is an area that's going to fit a queen size mattress, and the mattress is going to sit right on top of that 2x4 right there. So the bed's going to fill this area. There's going to be some storage there on the end, the foot of the bed. We're also going to put some storage up there, sort of like in the front of the bus. Probably only on the sides though, because we're also planning to have a mini split AC and heater up there, so that's going to take up the majority of the center. On this wall, this will be a wall here, this is where the shower back is. This will be shiplap, and then we plan to have a TV up there too. So I'll get as big of a TV as can fit on this wall, and we'll have a mount that can swivel out, so when we're in bed, we can be able to see the TV. So underneath the mattress is where all the stuff's gonna happen. We're gonna have all of the electrical, plumbing, pretty much set up along this wall and over here on this left side. And then in that little cubby, if you can see that little hole back there, that is where our dog bed is gonna go for Leo. So he's gonna have a little square right in that area. And then on this side is gonna be probably more electrical. So water tanks are probably gonna go on this side, and then the solar setup is probably gonna go on this side. So this is where all of the control panels and stuff will be. And then looking up at the ceiling, so one of the max air fans will go right in that spot. We're gonna have pot lighting in the ceiling, probably, I think 6 or so lights back in the bed area. We're going to have lighting that runs all the way down the hallway to the front. There'll be 2 or so lights, pot lights inset in the bathroom or in the shower room, and then some more lights in the bathroom, probably 2 in the ceiling, and then 2 on the vanity on each side, a little bit lower, sort of like eye level on that wall. It's probably gonna be a round mirror and an oval shaped mirror, so the lights will continue to run down the center. We're also gonna have cabinets above
the counters. So I want to put LED lighting underneath the cabinets, so that's a bit easier to see what you're working on in the kitchen area. And there will also probably be cabinets on this side, which is to the left of the fridge. There's going to be some storage above that too, and potentially some also above the couch. We just kind of want to maximize the amount of storage we're going to have in here. Over the last couple weeks, we've actually been ordering like so much stuff for the bus. It sort of makes it that much more real when you're ordering like the stove and the sink, the water heaters and stuff like that. So, and the lighting, like the flooring, it really starts to make this seem like, you know, it's happening, you know, it's coming along. So over the last couple weeks, we have ordered or received some of the stuff we've already gotten actually. The hot water heater, the bathroom sink, the kitchen sink, the bathroom faucet, the kitchen faucet. For the kitchen cabinets, we wanted soft close drawers and soft close hinges, so we ordered those already. We ordered the fridge. We ordered the stove. We have, this is one of the first purchases we made. We got 2 max air vents, which I already talked about that. We bought the ceiling lights. We bought the shower pan. We bought the flooring. The flooring has not arrived yet, but the flooring should be here soon. We're not gonna do the flooring yet, but that stuff has been selling out, so it was in stock, and I figured, you know, might as well just get it when we can. So that's the way a lot of the stuff was. Some of the stuff was in stock, and then it was out of stock, so it's like, you know, even though I don't need it at this very moment, it's definitely going to be better to order it now and have it than find out we can't get it for 6 months because of all the stupid stuff that's happening now. I really don't want this video to be way too long, so it's hard to fit everything that's happened in an update into this one video. So there will definitely be more videos to come that's, you know, talking more about one specific thing than sort of just a broad overview. And that's sort of my fault that I just didn't make more videos over the course of, you know, creating this bus, so that this one video didn't have to be so big. But I didn't do that, so here we are. This is sort of like an update part 1. We'll just take it one step at a time with all the new stuff, and I'll put content up regularly so we can, you know, like keep everyone more in the loop. So that's pretty much it for this video. I think we'll just kind of cut it off here. Definitely stick around for the stuff that we're gonna have to show you next. It's really cool to see the actual end on the horizon, which I didn't think would be this cool. Oh, and also, we've kept records of all the stuff we've purchased so far. So in another video, I want to go over all the stuff we've bought, calculate all the expenses we've had thus far, and sort of give you an idea of what we've spent. I know in the beginning I had an idea, like a ballpark, what I thought, before without researching, you know, most of the stuff, what I thought it was going to cost. And as of now, I think I'd be happy if we could keep it under 15, 20,000. If it's under 15,000, that'd be good for me. That'd be a good number for me. So I want to see where we're at now. It feels like we're drastically under that. That'll be a future video. So I think that's it for this video. So stick around for all the cool things we're gonna have next. More updates, all that fun stuff. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.